This is GrantTalk, hosted by Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch and author of The Queen of Grants.
Welcome to GrantTalk. Today we are going to talk to Katy Sursa from the United Cerebral Palsy of Arkansas, and we're going to learn about successful grant writing. Katy won over $1 million in grant funding, and she is a subscriber to GrantWatch.com, and she found many of those grants on our website, and we want to hear how she did it and about her journey. So I'm introducing you to Katy, and I'm very glad you're here with us today. Thank you for your time. Katy, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Libby, and thanks for having me on today. So I am I have always been a little bit of a writer from the time that I was a child. I absolutely loved writing, but never really thought that it could be a career until I was browsing Indeed one day and came upon a grant writer position for UCP of Arkansas. And it was a full-time position that met my family's needs, and I thought, why not? Let's just try it. And prior to that point, I had written some grants, but not full-time, certainly, and certainly more for like a hobby, helping my friends out with nonprofits, those kind of things. So my position is that of a humble one. I'll say that much. Definitely from very humble beginnings. I am not a classically trained technical writer with a degree in technical writing or anything like that. I do have a master's in public administration with nonprofit as an emphasis. So I understand nonprofit law and that side of it, which does help. But I'm certainly not a classically trained technical writer by any means.
Well, I'll tell you, technical writing is boring.
Right?
So what you're doing, you come from a great background. You know all the parts because the grant has so many moving parts. So you know them, you have them. And
Yes.
obviously you have the writing skill. So so now you got your job at UCP, and what was your first grant?
So my very first grant was a Department of Transportation grant, and I didn't find that one on GrantWatch. That one we fell into when I started the position. They said, "Oh, we've got this grant application. It's 99% done. We just need a couple last things to get it over the threshold."
Oh, I'm sure it was not 99% done. I've been there.
No. When I got there, there were 3 parts to this major federal grant, and they had one of the 3 parts done. And it was due at 5:00 that day. And so we, yeah. So exactly my thought. And so in about 6.5 hours, I rallied the troops and got everybody and got all the information done. I got all the budgets done. I got all the sheets of everything. I called probably every person up at Department of Transportation that was working that day. They knew me by name or really by voice by the end of the day. We got it done. And we ended up getting 2 handicap-equipped transportation vans out of that grant, which were valued at over $170,000. And it was a matter of how do we get a team rallied to pull everybody together to accomplish this end goal. And that's what I based my grant writing career on, is I may be the one with my name on the line clicking submit, but this grant is for the organization, and it's everyone in the organization that makes this grant possible. A grant writer cannot do anything by themselves.
Right. I write about that in my book, that you just need to get everybody on board.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just not happening. And you rallied the troops. You really did.
Exactly. Well, and if you don't know enough about the program that you're representing, if you don't know enough about the demographics, if you don't know enough about the audience or even the foundation that you're writing to or the grantor that you're writing to, then you're not going to be successful in grants. So that's honestly where I found GrantWatch has helped me so much, is that I mean, we're a disability service organization. I don't need to be applying to clothe pygmy monkeys in Africa, but I know that their grants are on your website.
Right.
There's websites, or there's grants to do everything. I have this, I wish we were in my office right now. I'm working from home, but I have this sign in my office that was inspired by GrantWatch, and it says there's a grant for that. Because anytime I was in a
That should be
meeting,
our logo.
right? Anytime I was in a meeting and they would say, well, Katy, what do you think? And I'd say, there's a grant for that. I don't know where it's at, but there's a grant for that and we'll find it. So, that's GrantWatch has really helped me with that, is learning how to really focus my efforts, and not write grants for things that I don't think that we're going to get, or not waste my time on foundations that don't have a history of giving to organizations like myself.
And how are you finding that history? Because we set that up on GrantWatch. I don't know if you're using it yet.
So I have not traditionally been using the GrantWatch feature of that. So I'll have to explore that on GrantWatch. What I do, I go to GuideStar and look at their 990s.
Oh, so we put them on GrantWatch.
Ah, nice.
The 990s are there.
I love it. Save me a step. I was waiting for that to happen, and look at you. You made it happen.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
There you go.
When you get to a grant, if we have the 990, there's a button that says View 990 Report.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. Well, so I should preface this conversation with, I am currently the director of community development, which my grant coordination job led me into this position. So now I run the department. And so grants are a piece of what I do. Unfortunately, it's what I love, and it's only a small piece of what I do now. But I, self-disclosure, have not logged into GrantWatch in the last 3 or 4 months, just because I've been so busy doing everything else. But
so is somebody else logging in? Are you missing grants?
Oh yeah. I'm training my my new grants development specialist to be able to go and find grants and do the things that I was doing through using GrantWatch subscription. So we kept the subscription, of course we kept it, but I mean, of course
we're in the process of creating new videos, so you'll be able to train her even more.
Nice. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So what happened after that? You did the DOT. What was next?
Yeah. So we got the Department of Transportation. Then we got in on, I actually found the ARPA grants, the American Rescue Plan grants that the federal government was releasing. I actually found that on GrantWatch. That ended up being about $600,000 for my organization. Which enabled us to give every employee bonuses, COVID bonuses. It gave us vaccination bonuses. It gave us a lot of different things, access to these federal grants. And a lot of people think about, I mean, at least up to that point, I had only used GrantWatch for private foundation searches. Where, if there's a foundation in Arkansas that gives to people with disabilities, that's easy to filter through. And I hadn't used a lot of the federal grant resources, but the federal grant resources are really, really, really helpful, because the federal grant websites are not helpful at all.
I know, there's just too much information, and you don't know where to go.
And everything's categorized and formulaic, and it's all color coded, and it's so confusing and convoluted on federal grant websites.
I know. Imagine they develop a website to make it easier for you, but in the end, it's much more difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, absolutely. And so that's what I really appreciate about GrantWatch, is it is really nice to be able to filter through and say, I want to only see federal grants, or if I don't have time for the federal grants that day, then I don't want to see any federal grants. Don't give me federal grants.
So you can do foundation grants.
You can do just foundation. I mean, the filter of it, I mean, I call you guys lovingly, I call you Google for grants, because it's basically what you are. If you want to find it, you want to search it, it's available. You just got to know the search parameters and what you want to look for.
And we've done so much more in the past 3 to 4 months. So you can get back in there.
I'm excited to log back in and see, because now I don't even know what I'm logging back into, right?
Right. You can save your searches now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There is a tab under the About page, I think. Is GrantWatch really worth it? And we list everything new that's in there. So you'll want to go there as well.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased. And after that, after the ARPA, what was your next thing?
So after ARPA, then we did some state grants, state government grants. The Department of Human Services, DHS, here in Arkansas received a lump sum payment of those ARPA funds, and then the state got to decide how they wanted to divvy those out.
Right.
When everybody was freaking out because they couldn't figure out how to apply for them, I thought, well, what the heck? GrantWatch has worked for us this far. Let's try it. And there they were. And so the other preschools, we have a preschool as part of UCP, and the other preschools were unable to find the links, and I was able to send out the GrantWatch link, which unfortunately was not super helpful if they didn't already have an account. But maybe you got some new subscribers out of that. I don't know. But right. I sent them the state link of like how to apply for those state grants. Through those state grants, we were able to remodel our preschool. We got around $330,000 from the state of Arkansas for those funding, and I found that on GrantWatch. So we've got all new flooring, new HVAC systems. It's a flat roof building. We put a whole new roof on it. And then we went through and we bought all new toys and new furniture and things for the inside of the preschool, so that when our incoming preschoolers this year walked in, they were just absolutely wowed with all the different bright colors and clean lines.
So we want some pictures. We want to add pictures.
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely. We need to do that. We need to send you guys some pictures.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell us about the children that you serve.
Yeah, so UCP of Arkansas, we don't just serve kids with CP, cerebral palsy. We actually serve anyone with any intellectual disability or developmental disability anywhere in Arkansas. So we have adult programs, we have a community employment program, we've got a preschool, we've got waiver, we've got several different programs across the state. We're one of the largest disability service providers in Arkansas, and only about 20% of our clients actually have CP. The others have something else as their primary diagnosis.
Oh, so they don't have to have CP, and they have to have something, or they could be mainstream.
I mean, both. So any intellectual or developmental disability. So autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, cystic fibrosis, any and all, honestly, are welcome in our family of services.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, really beautiful. And, I started out my teaching career for the New York City Department of Ed in special education.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had classes for emotionally handicapped.
Yeah.
So we had people definitely on the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Before medication in school buildings. So, and then later on, when I was teaching computers, the special ed children were mainstreamed into my classes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the model now, is inclusion, because what we're finding, and statistically, you can find this through actually grant-funded sources, but you can find it because they found that if you take a kid with a disability and you put them in an inclusive classroom among their neurotypical peers, that they do better because they learn by modeling and they learn by showing. And so the other neurotypical kids get to show this kid with disability, oh, this is how we should be doing this work. This is what we should be doing right now. We should be sitting quietly in our seats. And then the kid who is neurotypical learns compassion and learns how to be a good human being from being in classes with kids that might need a little more attention or might need a little more help. They both benefit in the long term with an inclusive environment.
Is it ever disruptive to the regular education child?
When are classrooms not disruptive? I mean, you're always gonna have that one kid that talks too much,
right?
Or you're gonna have that one kid that likes to throw spitballs, or you're gonna have, the one kid who didn't get breakfast that day and just wants to sleep, or you're gonna have those kids, and those are neurotypical kids. So if you add in, or I guess I should say, if you detract from that beautiful community by taking those people out that you feel that they needed, or not you, but somebody feels that they need additional help, that they're not on the same level as their neurotypical peers, then you're not giving the neurotypical peers the benefit of the doubt and saying, we know how to include this person into our community. And the thing is that the education
that's
system,
such a beautiful way of explaining it, really. And that's what we need. We need compassion in this world, and you're starting them in preschool.
absolutely, you grow humans from very small little seeds. And so, if we don't start small, and we don't start when these kids are learning how to be a good human, they're learning how to walk in the hallway, they're learning how to use their manners, how to say yes, how to say no, how to please and thank you. If we completely exclude them from a demographic of people, then they're not going to know how to treat that demographic of people. And I can tell you, because I am case in point, I never met a person with a significant intellectual disability until I had my daughter, and she has Down syndrome. And when I had my daughter 10 years ago, doctors would tell me, oh, she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to be this, she can do this, she can't do that. They would set parameters, and I just took them at their word for the most part, because I didn't know.
Because you were a young mother.
Because I'm a young mother, right? And I had never been exposed to a person with Down syndrome. So when they said, oh, well, she'll never live independently, I believed them. When they said, oh, she may never be potty trained, I believed them. When they said at 3, well, she's 3, she's not talking yet, she's obviously going to be nonverbal her entire life, I believed them. And then at 4, when she started talking, and she hasn't stopped since, when she started talking, she just blew everyone's expectations out of the water. And I feel like if we can tell that story to more people and say, look, it's okay that you have this lack of knowledge or this gap, because it's an exposure issue, right? Like, I've never been exposed to the rainforest in Brazil. I don't know what there is in the rainforest in Brazil. If somebody tells me this is what to expect, then I'm going to say that's probably what the rainforest in Brazil would be. But until I go and until I'm in it, I don't really know. And if, as a generation of people, if we're removing people with disabilities from that equation, then nobody's ever really going to get that learned experience.
I'm so pleased with you and your career and what you've done. And when we talk about passion, you have the passion. You walk into UCP with that passion. And so you are working every day for your daughter, for everybody else's daughters and sons. And it's just phenomenal. And congratulations to you. I hope your career just continues to soar, because you have all the ingredients to just keep going and helping so many people. So if I said to you, what's the worst part about writing a grant for you? I'm going to ask you some lightning round questions. Let's see if I get the questions.
Okay. The worst part about writing the grant is having to explain the history of the organization.
I need you to repeat that. I'm sorry.
The history of the organization, explaining the history of the organization. I just get a little bored. I'd rather talk about what we're doing now and the things that we're doing and what this project is, rather than, well, we started in 1957.
1957. Okay. And if you, there she is. Come on, let's see her. If that's okay with you.
Here. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
Emma.
Emma?
Emma.
I'm so glad to meet you.
Thank you.
Your mommy said some wonderful things about you.
Thanks.
She said thanks.
If you could get your wish for your organization, what would it be right now?
Yes.
Another $1 million.
Okay, and what would you do with it?
We would raise wages. We would raise wages 100%. If we could get a reliable source that we could count on to be able to raise those wages and make them sustainable year over year, That would be amazing. Despite all of the accomplishments that I've had at UCP, that's one thing that I haven't been able to do. Our wages are 100% based on Medicaid reimbursement rates, which means that Medicaid pays an X amount for a specific service. And, Medicaid pays a specific amount for a specific service, and they pay that by the hour. And that is what they pay.
Right.
And so we have to fit our entire budget into whatever they tell us that they're going to pay. And some of these things, like the services, like one-on-one care for a total care person who is completely wheelchair bound, cannot do their own personal care, can't bathe, can't shower, can't do anything. That is around $22 an hour, total entirety. So that includes that employee's wages, but it also includes that employee's benefits, their health, their life, their dental, their vision. It includes any overhead costs and all of our HR costs.
Okay, so how is somebody going to get in touch with your organization? Because you've heard it, everybody, wonderful things that UCP of Arkansas is doing, and they need your help. Tell us.
Absolutely. So if you want to learn more about UCP of Arkansas, you can go online to our website, which is www.ucpark.org, or you can check us out on Facebook. We're UCP of Arkansas.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you and your daughter, and just keep going from strength to strength. And I'm going to use your logo. There's a grant for it.
Do it. Do
Okay.
it. I love it.
Thank you so
Permission
much.
granted.
Okay.
All right. You have a great day. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you and all that you're doing for all the other organizations out there.
Thank you for tuning in to Grant Talk, powered by GrantWatch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to all your local podcast feeds today.